Welcome to the Tax Awareness Show. My name is Shillyboy Mothiba. I'm your host. And today on our Finance Fusion Corner, I'm with Nathan from the Alternative Board and Eston from Business Partners. We're just going to have a conversation. Gentlemen, welcome. Good morning.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, I think what we're going to be talking about is exactly about the role of intermediary when it comes to intermediary, their partnership with business partners in financing SMEs for a greater good. And it's so important. Maybe let me start with you, Eston, around the issue of financing and how important this is for SMEs in order to scale them up. But before even getting into that, how did you join Business Partners, and really what inspired you to join Business Partners?
Thanks, Shillyboy. I think it's a long journey. I think it's spanning over 12 years now. So I started in 2014. I actually started as a graduate intern. So came up the ropes, put in the hard work. But what interested me and what gave me the insight, or what led me to Business Partners, was the differences that it does.
That it makes.
The impact on the economy, impact on investors, impact on just SMEs, small and medium enterprises. You can see what you do on a daily basis.
You can see what you do. I mean, I know Business Partners, but for someone who doesn't really know Business Partners in your own ways, you've lived, I mean, you've been with them since 2014. It's going to 12 years right now. You've lived it. How would you describe Business Partners in your own ways?
In a nutshell, I would say financiers that care. That would be my description. We differentiate ourselves in the sense that we have that personal relationship with every single one of our entrepreneurs. We look at finding that niche. So we are risk financiers. That's what we specialize in, right? But it's that niche market. It's those SMEs that are not necessarily able just to go up to the banks, but they need someone to guide them, someone to give them finance, someone to find those financial solutions. But at more so, not just to be a number, someone that they can contact, pick up a phone, air their views, tell them what's right, what's wrong, and tell them, you know what, this is a possible finance solution. So I would say, personally, it's an entrepreneur that cares, and hence why the name or the slogan, the Entrepreneur's Financier.
I was actually going to ask further to that question to say, you spoke of a niche market, and you've interacted with various entrepreneurs within your space. Who is this typical entrepreneur, would you say Business Partners will typically support?
Yeah, I would say, look, in the market that we deal in, a perfect entrepreneur for us would be someone that's obviously in the industry, has at least a year, 2 years of starting off a business. The business is now touching base, getting its solvency, liquidity, and viability on par. So expansionary clients, that would be a good client for Business Partners. Someone that's got a history. They have 24 months track record in terms of financials. They're looking to expand. They want to buy their own properties. They need the stock. They need the working capital. But more so, they want to create a bigger presence in the economy. So that would be a perfect client for us, because then we can see the need, we can see the demand, we can see the vision. Because generally, 2 out of 10 startups actually are successful, right? And, we get these applications, and a lot of times it's entrepreneurs' dreams that we see, and we always appreciate it. But there's more than a dream, right? There's collateral, there's security, there's putting skin in the game. And most of the times, 8 of 10 get rejected.
Maybe, Nathan, let me bring you in here. You deal with, from the Alternative Board, you deal a lot with entrepreneurs. Before actually we even tap into that, how are you related to Business Partners?
Yeah, thanks for having me, and thanks for inviting me, Eston and Shillyboy. I'm related to Business Partners. I spent 8 years there. And the last job I was at the area manager level before I went out and started my own business. Actually bought this franchise called the Alternative Board. So know the guys pretty well, know the products pretty well. And it kind of gives me a little bit of an edge in the market when I go and see, my clients. And I think, just from an intermediary point of view, the one thing I want to do is not waste an entrepreneur's time. So if they talk to me about a deal, I can say, you know what, Eston and business partners will love this type of deal, fits within their parameters. This is exactly what you're looking for. This is the type of documents that they will need. I think you're ready. This is the type of people you need to go and speak to. And I take the client there, and right there and then, that's like 2 weeks of their lives I save, because normally they'll go through banks and they'll go through a couple of call centers. It'll take them some time to get to the right person. And that really helps. So that kind of gives me a little bit of an edge over everybody else. So yeah, and I enjoy working with the guys. My relationships are strong with them, and that benefits my client as well. At the end of the day, I want to add value to my clients' lives. And this is one of the ways I do it.
You kind of touched on why you saw a need to partner with business partners as the alternative board, mainly that you spoke of saving that 2 weeks, but maybe expand on that. What makes you think there was a need as an alternative board to really partner with business partners?
Yeah, so maybe just the alternative board is an international coaching franchise, right? We coach and mentor businesses, time, money, people, vision, exit strategies. That's what we require. And normally when we get to a client, we try and solve their pain points. And some of their pain points is, look, I need a better structure. So we help them build that structure. And sometimes it is, look, I want to expand. Where are we going to get this money for this expansion? And then we get I can get the client ready. I can help him with that strategy, get him ready to then go to business partners and say, look, this is what I want to do. I've got this demand. I've got the vision. I've got a good team backing me. I've got a good team working for me. So now we just need that capital injection to take the business to the next level. The name, the alternative board, where does that come from? It's basically once a month, we take our entrepreneurs or business owners that we coach and we put them together as each other's alternative board. So immediately in the room, you've got 6 to 8 other business owners. They all made money, lost money, made mistakes, paid the school fees. They all employ 10, 20 people. They all, have thriving businesses, and they're giving each other advice. Things like, guys, I've got this business partner that I want to get rid of. What should I do? I want to expand into Africa. What should I look out for? So now you're getting advice really from some guys that have got some, I always say, they've got their degree from the school of hard knocks, right? They've learned the hard way. And these guys hold each other accountable. Once they give you advice, how did it go? Did you implement? Did you do this? So that's where the alternative board comes from.
Maybe, Eston, let me come back to you. Nathan just spoke of the importance of getting these SMEs ready as an intermediary. Already he's highlighting the importance of the intermediary role. Maybe let's expand on that. How do you see the important or the role of intermediary being so important for you guys in the ecosystem of financing and SMEs?
Look, I think it's very important. One, because obviously an intermediary plays an integral role in shaping that journey, right? So if he understands our processes, he understands what works, what doesn't work, he's already pre-vetted the application even before he brings it to us, right? And I think overall that helps in threefold. One, it shortens the lead times. 2, it provides us the documentation and the information we need even before we need it, right? He's already got an idea of what we need. And then 3, he walks through the journey with the client. So it safeguards 2 sentiments. The entrepreneur or the client understands and feels that comfort that he has an intermediary or has a representative that he believes can bring his best interest at heart. And 2, it helps us because then the entrepreneur and the intermediary, which is the conduit, has an understanding of what business partners want. Right? So even if we go through a rough journey, maybe the approval takes some time, maybe some of the conditions or the criteria is not your standard requirements or standard conditions, the entrepreneur has an understanding because of the intermediary. So we value that relationship. The more that we work with intermediaries and we have a longer relationship, the more that we can gel with them.
Maybe let me expand on that. who will make a typical intermediary?
Look, in my experience over the years, it is different for every investment professional in my team, right? I have good experience and good exposure with bond originators, accountants, estate agents, business brokers, attorneys, right? Because each one has its own benefit. Like an accountant, he sees the financials firsthand. He knows when a client needs money. He knows when a client may be overgeared, right? Estate agents, they know when they have stock on the market, when they've got properties and we can fund the commercial properties. So they pair the properties with the clients and they come to us as financiers. So there's synergy that's always created. It's just about finding the right intermediaries and seeing what works for you.
Okay.
But those are typically the markets of intermediaries.
Nathan, maybe let me bring you back. He spoke of sort of why will someone be an intermediary? In your experience as an intermediary, why will someone want to be an intermediary?
Yeah, I think it adds incredible value. So for me, I'm a business coach. I'm a facilitator, mentor. I consult. And then I'm a deal maker. I raise capital. So it adds value to me and to my business to be able to say, look, I'm affiliated with Business Partners as a brand. This is not a fly by night company. This is a big company that's got a great track record, a big statement in the market. They've got their own money. That they invest, it's not that they have to go to market and raise their money. I mean, that helps a lot as well. So it adds value to my brand. First of all, gives me credibility. And then my client stays with me. My client stays with me to say, look, geez, Nathan's helped me, to get my financing for me. I mean, I've helped them through Business Partners to do that. They stay with me for another year, for another 2 years. They go out to their friends and other networks and say, you know what, that Nathan guy, he really helped me with financing. Because I was backed with a professional team that gives good feedback. I've got good relationships with, they'll take a risk where maybe other funders won't take a risk, or they'll take the time to actually go out and see the client. The area manager goes, the regional manager goes. They take some time and effort and people go, wow, these people are actually showing some interest. And all of these little add-ons that they do in part makes me look good. At the end of the day. And that for me is first prize in terms of value. That I want to add to my client.
It's about adding value to your clients. In that process, maybe let's take a step back. Earlier on, you mentioned that you get these SMEs ready before you introduce them to business partners, so that it makes it much easier for them to really have access to funding. Because access to funding, it's a real thing. And that's exactly why we've got what you call Finance Fusion at the Tax Awareness Show. Maybe take us through, what do you really do in the steps? What do you really do in getting these guys ready as the intermediary?
Yeah, I mean, look, as a business coach, mentor, thinking partner, I'm the one that asks the hard questions. I ask them real hard questions in terms of, why do you want this money? Why do you really want this business to grow? What is it that you want for yourself at the end of the day? Doing a personal vision and a company vision, and really asking those hard questions. I think an entrepreneur needs to get their mind right. Because getting the funding, if it's just sort of a shoot from the hip, get the funding, and then you don't know what you're going to do with it. You rush into an opportunity that you really haven't thought through. And I mean, the question is, well, this is the number that you have to pay back every month. Is this a comfortable number? Are you comfortable with this number? This is the number. Does it scare you? Are you comfortable with it? I mean, nobody asks them those type of questions, and then I kind of get them comfortable, and then we go through the basics. Well, if we're actually going to go to business partners, we're actually going to have to write down what's in your head, because 90% of the time, every entrepreneur, it's all here in the head. No, I've got the plan. I've got the strategies all year. So like, that's great. We're going to have to put it on paper. It just makes their lives so easier when they have to go to their credit committees, to get things approved. Get it on a piece of paper, 1-2 pages. That's it, man. Tell them what you do. And like, that's it. Don't start with like a 50-page business plan and all that. Just get it out on paper. And that, I think, for me is a starting point when I get my entrepreneurs ready. There's a whole bunch of other things that go in there in terms of financial modeling, cash flow projections, getting documents ready, speaking to your accountant, meeting all these accounting terms and ratios and stuff, which is internal lingo and things. But that for me is a starting point. Get whatever's on your head on the piece of paper. And then it will be easier for the financier to help you.
Maybe, Eston, let me bring you here. He spoke of the things in high level of what he does to get these guys ready. In your experience, maybe give us a picture where you have seen this entrepreneur who came directly, not to say entrepreneurs shouldn't come directly to business partners, but the difference between that entrepreneur that was prepared by intermediary and that one who was not prepared and who just came directly to you guys. What has been your experience with that?
Yeah, look, I think, Shillyboy, that's a good question. I think in my experience, I'll give you a prime example. Entrepreneur that's approaching us directly, applying online, submits a 60 to 70 page business plan, right? He's gone to his own professionals, paid anywhere between 10 and 20,000 for a business plan. I appreciate the business plan, but honestly speaking, maybe 8 to 10 pages of that business plan is exactly what we need, right? He's now foregone the cost. He's now gone the time. But an intermediary would just tell him, look, 8 to 10 pages. Give me your financials. Give me a summary analysis of the financials. What industry are you in? Who's your customers? Who's your suppliers, right? Which geographical location are you in? Those are pertinent things to business partners. Actually, it's pertinent to any financier. Right? But when you have your business plan guys that do it, look, I take nothing away from them. They do a comprehensive job. But we only need that later, closer to credit, right? Maybe when we're doing our full DD, just to get your foot in the door, 80 to 90 page business plan won't be needed. And if it's an existing business, then surely you just need a business profile. You don't need to put an 80 to 90 page document. That's one of the examples. Some of the other examples, intermediaries know exactly, okay, 6 months bank statements. Let's look at it. They check it beforehand. If it's got multiple RDs, they'll tell us. They'll tell the individuals or the professions they're dealing with. Look, he's got RDs. Don't get scared by it. He's coming to you because he has a working capital problem. It's a cash flow need, right? He's getting paid on the 15th. His debit order is going on the 1st. He's going to have problems in between. So they soften the blow as well. They give us an idea. This is exactly what has happened. Whereas a client just comes directly to us. We don't meet the client because he's doing it online. We have no understanding of anything before we just go to the documentation and then we phone the client to understand what's happening. But the documentation speaks a totally different picture to what an intermediary would have got involved and softened the blow.
Okay. Maybe I think let's also, I see this passion of investing in entrepreneurs. What really keeps business partners vested in financing these entrepreneurs?
I think just to start off with, it's the mere fact that SMEs are the driving force of the country, right? Every corner you go, there's an SME that's keeping that community alive. Right? And we find pleasure and we find solace in the fact that we can assist them. We can grow them from strength to strength. We've started with SMEs that are now multi-corporates.
Wow. Right?
And over the years, we've had guys, such a gentleman, I can't mention, but look, they started small. They now got 47 franchises throughout the country. And they're in almost every university. Right? Wow. So it's stories like that that make you want to be in the industry. You have a passion for it. You find that just realizing that you make a difference. And till this day, 12 years in, if I put an application into credit and it gets approved, I still feel exhilarated. I'm still excited, right? Yeah. And even approaching credit, when I'm about to present at credit, I still got butterflies in my stomach. It means a lot to me.
Maybe let's expand on these. I'm always fascinated by the stories of Nathan. I want to also bring you here entrepreneurs that stood up, stood out for that matter. You speak about someone who came in, now they're owning so multiple of franchise. What makes them, from intermediary point of view, you deal with these guys. So you probably see them being raw because you get these guys ready for business partners. That's your role. You get them ready. You then represent them, as he mentioned. You represent them. You soften up the relationship. You unlock those doors, or you speak the language that you know that the financier will want to hear. But you also do that because you can see the fire in their eyes. You do that and you speak and represent these guys because you could see certain characteristics that, you know what, I can support this guy. What really, in your experience, those that you've seen and now been successful, what stood out of those entrepreneurs?
Yeah, it's so exciting to watch the passion in their eyes. It's something you see in them. And they all kind of have the same characteristics. You just know that this guy's got the fire. It's usually the guys that they know their business from the bottom up. It's like I always picture them as sleeves rolled up, ready to jump in and manufacture themselves or sweep themselves or, hit the till themselves if they need to. Those type of entrepreneurs that know their business end to end, they're in it, not just completely financially, but completely emotionally. They're absolutely in it. And you can quickly see that. You can quickly see guys coming into your office and they want to, just make money and they've got this amazing dreams, but they haven't thought it through or they don't really know what they're talking about. And then there's those guys that really, they've tried it before. They've built it from the ground up. I've worked with a husband and wife team that started a business. When I was at Business Partners, gave them, $500,000, they were doing 5 million turnover. And then 7 or 8 years later, they're doing 50 million turnover. That the number is impressive, but what more so is they now employ 45 people. And so just the impact, it's 45 people it's families, 45 families, that they're doing. And it's conventionally, and conventional funders wouldn't have funded that type of deal because that is a risk financier type of deal. There's no collateral involved. If the business had to gone down, Business Partners would have lost that 500,000. And for a big corporation, 500,000 is very little money. But for them, it was like a livelihood, like an injection, a chance, a opportunity, somebody that believed in them. Small amount of money, but it was a massive dream that it fueled, and it's still around today. And I've got another one like that, that's probably going to do $1 billion in the next year or two. So they're doing really well. They're the guys who are going to employ 300 people. So those are amazing success stories that sort of keeps the passion in you burning as well to keep on doing that and keep on helping clients.
That's something that is rewarding by being intermediary, by seeing these people, you taking them from this level and really supporting them, representing them, speaking on their behalf with these financiers, the likes of Business Partners with Eston, and really encouraging and finding that working capital. It's a reward. It's an emotional reward that as an intermediary, you actually get to enjoy. Yeah. And that's exactly why would someone also, over and above being financially rewarding, it's about also living that. But maybe share with me also, Eston, let me bring you here. What exactly the same question about what stood out? These particular entrepreneurs that you saw historically that grew, particularly the one you gave an example about who now have multiple franchises. What stood out from them, like where you can say, I really believe that they made it because of 1, 2, 3?
Yeah, look, for the proverbial sense, it's rags to riches. That was one of the clients. I could give you an example. There's a few others as well. The guy started in the garages and now own multiple properties. But for me, it was when you meet them, you automatically have this gut feel. You can see that they have a passion for the industry, but at the same sentiment, they're hands-on. It's not just they've got a management team and they've got people on the floor and they look at it from the top. No. These are guys that have started as the sweepers, like Nathan has said. They've worked their ways up to when they were managers. Then they bought the businesses. They took over, or they had the idea, let me start something similar, right? But they have the experience in the industry. And a lot of times, it is that journey that they've gone on to become successful. They just didn't just one day open up a business plan, give it to a financier, and straight away became successful. It was an experience, a journey, a way forward, right? So for me, what stood out all the time in my successful stories was the passion, the drive, the hands-on experience, right? And the ability to find that opportunity in the market that others so quickly would have overlooked, right? They saw something that others didn't see. And pretty much that's the story of business partners. We see something in entrepreneurs that most of the conventional financiers wouldn't see. That's the market, that's the niche that we refer to.
Nathan, ability to see things that other entrepreneurs wouldn't see, experience of these entrepreneurs. As an intermediary, you also mentioned the need to know your business bottom up. What is the meaning of that? It comes out a lot. If you, as an intermediary that works with business partners, you already know that if this person doesn't meet these criteria in terms of knowing their business bottom up, probably they're not going to struggle with getting access to funding, because he mentioned that before even sometimes when it depends on the size of the funding, before the funding goes out, probably regional manager will come and see you, even the MD, chief investment, depending on the size of the investment. So in those conversations, they'll probably need to ask certain questions to ascertain if you really know your business as the entrepreneur. What is really, expand on this thing of a need to know your business. What is the meaning of this? Because it comes out a lot. A lot of people say you need to know your business. And someone was like, so do I need to know that corner, or do I, what is this of you need to know your business?
Yeah, I think we refer to it as the jockey, right? Right. At the end of the day, we are humans. So when we go and look at a deal or go and vet a deal, we get an impression, that first impression, right? You make so there's this horse that's amazing and super fast and can win the Durban July. But, if you have the wrong jockey that you feel, look, the guy is brilliant at his technically, but he really struggles with some business acumen. He really doesn't understand that. Those are some red flags that you will have. And those type of things you can sort of mend with maybe some coaching or some mentoring and things like that. But it's so important. It's absolutely critical. At the end of the day, the financier, and especially a financier like business partners, takes a risk on the jockey. That's what they're doing. It's a brilliant business. It has a brilliant track record. It's got everything in place. But at the end of the day, I think that final decision they make is because of the person. And that's why it's so important they check the person's personal behavior, how you behave personally, and how does the business behave because of how you behave personally. Do you know your customers in and out? It's so important. You say, does he have to know that little corner? Yeah. That's the kind of thing that kind of impresses the financier. I've got one client that he owns a restaurant, and you can go have a meeting with him, but he will never look you in the eye. And you'll think that's rude, but that's just because the way he is. He always keeps his eye on the restaurant. He's so pedantic about where the salt is on the table and he's so particular. I mean, you just get so much confidence from that guy that he knows every single inch of that restaurant inside and out. If you pick up the phone, call him at 3 a.m. and says, how many pieces of cheese goes into this pizza, he'll be able to tell you, even though he doesn't do it himself. So that is so important. At the end of the day, I think a financier, if everything's right and they have an issue with the jockey, or they don't have confidence in the jockey, that you might not get the money.
You might not get the money. Maybe, Eston, rather, let's expand this here. What are your expectations of an intermediary? You work with these guys. They represent these jockeys that you want to finance. there must be some level of expectations that you want to see out of these intermediaries.
Yeah, I think let's just pick up on Nathan's last point. I think for us as financiers, we look at three things, right? Entrepreneurial risk, financial risk, and business risk, right? But ultimately, and our slogan says as well, we're the entrepreneur's financier, as Nathan referred to it, and as we refer to it in the financial space, the jockey, right? But you look at the business risk, which industry it is, whatever, there's ways to mitigate it. Financial risk, maybe the business, there's ways to mitigate it. And entrepreneurial risk, not much ways to mitigate it. The entrepreneur is either the right fit or the not, right? He has the experience, he has the ability, or he just doesn't. Right? It's our job to then assess it and suss it out and see, okay, is this the right person to run this type of business? Now, relating to your question, what I expect from my intermediaries is obviously have an understanding of what business partners' fundamentals are. Right? Understand what our call, what we look at, like the business risk, the financial risk, the entrepreneurial risk. The intermediaries, Nathan included, they have a good grasp on it because they know, okay, financial risk, do they have the security? Do they have the contribution? Do they have the skin in the game? Is there something that we can show that the entrepreneur has put his own pound of flesh on the table, right? Business risk, obviously the industries that we look at. We don't look at underground mining. We don't look at primary agriculture. So the intermediaries already have a firm knowledge of this. They know, okay, these are the industries. This is what business partners looks at. This is the criteria that they need, right? And then you've got obviously the entrepreneur. Now, most of the times our entrepreneurs already have a good relationship with the intermediaries. And for us, that's a foot in the door because they have trust with the entrepreneur, right? So if the intermediary comes to us and approaches us, Nathan comes to me and tells me, Eston, look, got Mr. Client. He wants to meet you. I've already briefed him. This is business partners. This is what he needs. This is what he wants. But I've also given him a heads up. This is what business partners can or cannot do. This is the structures, right? Now I've already got an understanding with the client. I've got a foot in the door to go and speak to the client. So my expectations for my intermediaries is not tedious, but it's just for them to have a knowledge of what we do. Automatically, if they have that, it's easier for them to then recommend business partners. It's easier for them to vet what they're putting on our table because most of the times it's quick for them. They have the experience. Nathan's got a plethora of experience. It's quick for him to pick up, okay, this might work, this might not work. Yeah?
What sort of support do you really provide to these guys, to the intermediaries?
Look, they have a lot of support from our guys in the sense that it depends on the intermediaries. I have to say that because some of the intermediaries, they like to run their own race and they get to the finish line and then they give us the pack. So they'll tell us, Eston, I worked with you for 5-6 years. I know exactly what's required. I've got your requirements list. Let me put the pack together. When it's ready, I'll submit to you. Right? So those guys, long-standing intermediaries, Nathan and the likes, we don't need to hold their hand. Right? Some of the intermediaries, young in the game with us, maybe 5-6 months, or even brand new intermediaries, they need a little bit more effort, a little bit more walking the game with them. So we get involved from the beginning. They ask us, but they're always enthusiastic. They want to know what do they need to bring. And we don't mind. So if it's from day one, my team and I and entire business partner staff actually are very accompanying of that. Where if they need a little bit more information, a little bit more understanding, a little bit more guidance, we give them our standard application forms. We give them the general list of requirements, brochures, pamphlets. We lead them to our website, which has all the information. So there's a lot of resources that can substantiate and solidify the relationships. Right? And I think it just depends on the intermediary's journey with business partners. The resources are either a lot or it's quite minimal because they already have a good affair of what we need.
It sounds like there's a flexibility in terms of supporting these intermediaries. Maybe let's speak of someone watching now having an interest in being an intermediary. Who's that person? Number one, you mentioned them, I think earlier, accountants, lawyers, bond originators, to name the few. And the reason being that those people typically will deal with SMEs on a day-to-day basis. So the prospecting of really supporting or finding this SME, it's much easier, but not necessarily that they need to be accountant, lawyers, and things like that. How would then my second question will be, how would they then join to be? What steps do they need to take rather for them to be accredited as intermediaries for business partners?
Okay, so let's deal with question one. So question one, to be honest, anyone can be an intermediary. It's not profession specific. It's not industry specific. If you are in the business of knowing people, speaking to people, networking with people, and you can match me up with any potential person that would be a lead or a referral to us, you're an intermediary.
Okay.
Right? It's just I singulated one or two of the industries because those are where you'd probably, like you said, prospects fall into those ones. They see it on a daily basis, right? But prime example, someone that is in the EST space, right? They see so many businesses. They could be a perfect intermediary. They're not accountants. They're not brokers, but they see entrepreneurs daily. And when they see a need, they become intermediaries.
Correct.
Right? Qualifying criteria, there simply isn't none. Right? All you have to do is you speak to one of my guys, speak to me directly, pass me a name and a number. And if it works out, I would recommend that you become an intermediary. And there's no formal process, right? So it's not like we have to put you on a database. My team keeps your details and we keep in contact with you. We invite you for our functions. You invite us for whatever you want us to come to and put a presence there. We always able to do that. We always agree to be involved in this because it's awareness for both the intermediary and for ourselves. So it's quite easy, Shillyboy, to be honest. It's just that you get in contact, say that you know what, you know A, B, and C. You'd like to recommend them as a potential lead, but I also want to build a relationship. So I think from the day one, the communication is important. Whoever you're talking to, just relay what you want out of this relationship. I'd like to be an intermediary. I'd like to bring deals to business partners. Let's grow that.
Okay. So basically, if you want to be an intermediary, it's just to reach out to business partners and say, listen, I deal with SMEs, or I've got access to SMEs that might be looking for funding. Therefore, I need to speak to somebody who can really assist me with that, be it Eston or any other area manager for that matter. And then you'll be allocated and you take it from there. And it's about building relationships and maintaining those relationships, but also undergo some form of trainings, opportunities that may be there, product knowledge, so that you know when you're going to be speaking to these SMEs, you know what really you're going to be talking about, right?
100%. So look, the knowledge base, obviously intermediate, let's just speak about new intermediaries, right? Because I think that's the target market. If someone's watching now and they want to get involved, you generally be a new intermediary. We'd provide you all the knowledge and all the information that they require. We'd give you the brochures and the pamphlets. And ideally, if you're in the space and you're already dealing with business entrepreneurs, you know business, you understand business.
Yeah.
Right? So it's just about me heightening your senses and showing you which directions, what to look at, and give you a bit more guidance. But it's a space someone would already be playing in.
Correct.
But definitely, brochures, pamphlets, I'd like to meet you for coffee. I'd like to sit with you. And then we talk. Talking seems to be the best form of sharing information. Guys want to send emails and all the likes. I appreciate it. But sitting face to face with the individual. The amount that can be shared just by simple conversation, like how we're speaking today, it's much more beneficial to an individual than merely few questions on the email and I specifically answer those few questions and send it back. Because there always could be adjourning questions, ones that just pop out because I've answered that. Right?
Correct.
So communication.
Okay. Maybe in closing, Nathan, from you, what will make someone to be a successful intermediary?
Yeah, let me just first start off with it. You asked him about support. I think the one thing about why, and there's lots of financiers out there, why business partners is a good financier to partner with is because I always think, and for me, this is the biggest value is the accessibility. I can literally pick up the phone, send a WhatsApp, get on the, I have the guy's cell phone numbers. That is so valuable. Yes, support and that's good. But I mean, for me to be able to, I had a chat with Shillyboy. Well, just hold on. Let me just call Eston. Eston, what do you think? I've got a deal. Do you think it's something we can do? It's like, yeah, sounds like something we can do. Get the documents together. Okay, great. I give my client feedback within 5 minutes. You know what? These guys, they're keen to do it. Let's sit and grab the documents and let's put this together and we go send it through. So that for me is amazing. I think, your question about why become an intermediary, so much value that you can add to your client. That for me is far more valuable than yes, there's a referral fee that you can get. So you can make actual rand and cents in your pocket, but the value that you adding to your client is going to build your business personally way better. Whether you are accountant, business broker, business consultant, deal maker, fundraiser, it's a natural progression, right? I mean, just add that. You can, as an accountant, just add you now also assist with fundraising, and you have this, and you don't have to do anything. You just, whenever they want to have a conversation about funding, you can link them directly with Eston until you're familiar with the products and start having in-depth conversation. But you can do it day one. It's that, I think that's the thing. You can do it day one.
I see what you just mentioned. You become more resourceful advisor to these guys, and it can help. It's one way of retaining your clients, because if a client knows that I'm a tax advisor Shillyboy is my tax advisor, but over and above that, when I'm in need of working capital, I can easily have a confident questions or conversations with Shillyboy, and Shillyboy is resourceful enough to really go and reach out to his contacts at business partners and also be able to assist me with funding. But you spoke of something very, very, very important that I will agree with you. Accessibility of business. Geez, business partners, guys, are so accessible. Maybe in closing, Eston, why is business partners so accessible? Let's be honest. Like, these guys are so accessible. What makes you guys? It's like they're all from one family. Like, they're so accessible. What makes you guys so accessible?
Look, I think for us, we understand that time is money. Right? And the shorter the lead time, the more efficient you come out as an intermediary, the more quicker entrepreneurs can make decisions. Right? So for me personally, I'm always accessible. Phone, email, WhatsApp, calling me and getting quick opinions on a deal, I believe is the best thing is efficiency. And I try to pass this on to my team and my colleagues as well, which they hold in very high regard. Efficiency is what sets us apart in the market. Right? Quickness, turnaround times, right? And the ability to get things done. But even so, if you can't do the application, the ability to tell an intermediary, look, Nathan, not something that we can look at. It then tells him, okay, quickly, now let's go to somewhere else. Now he's more efficient to his clients. Right? He's not put one application and now waited 2-3 weeks just for them to say, look, it doesn't meet the criteria. Right? So for us, accessibility, but efficiency and quickness on the draw, that's what sets us apart. Because we understand the game. We understand that you can wait 2 days and then the need for funding would fall away. Right? You'd lose a deal by simply waiting a week. That client in the same week, maybe he actually came to you because he has a relationship with you. But because you haven't moved, he's gone to the banks. The banks quickly do it and you lost a deal. So for us, it's efficiency, but also to make sure that you catch it while it's hot. The proverbial sense, strike while the iron's hot.
Okay. Strike when the iron is still hot. Thank you so much for joining me, colleagues. That was Eston from Business Partners and Nathan from the Alternative Board. We agreed with Nathan that we're going to come and bring him back and to really take us through the work that they're doing at the Alternative Board. But here today, we're really on the Finance Fusion corner, talking really about what would it take for you to be an intermediary, and for that matter, how that is going to benefit you in your own business and becoming that resourceful advisor to the SME ecosystem. Thank you so much, colleagues, and thank you so much for watching. My name is Shillyboy Mothiba. I'm a host of the Tax Awareness Show, but today we're coming from the Finance Fusion Corner. Thank you so much for watching.